Hello everybody, my name's Conor McGilligan, this is One Leeds, welcome back to the latest video. This video, as always, is sponsored by Shop GNO, The Job Match Group and Match Bingo. Let's get into it. First up, The Job Match Group. Whether you're looking for your next big gig or just browsing, The Job Match Group has niche job sites made just for you. F1, retail, security and loads more. They're about matching the right person to the right job. Make sure you check them out if you're ready to level up your career. Then we've got Shop GNO, an exciting new e-commerce site where you can grab exclusive deals and discounts. Right now, One Leeds has an affiliate link just below where you can score a 25 quid membership for free, unlocking special rates and benefits. You can even list your own shop on there with way better rates than Amazon, eBay and Vinted. They've got some Leeds bits and some general bits now and launching soon, plus some great prizes just for signing up. This is all powered by a massive Leeds United fan looking to make waves in the online shopping world. So check them out and support your local. And don't forget our mates at Match Bingo. They're smashing it with footy fun. You can get 5 bingo cards for the price of 4 through One Leeds, and you can even deposit just £5 at a time to join the action. It's a big chance to win whilst having a blast with your fellow Leeds United friends. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Check the links in the description, and let's get on with the video. Hello everybody, welcome back. This is One Leeds, this is the Rumour Mill, this is your daily dose of Leeds United news encompassing discourse, debate and discussion. What is going on in your world, everybody? Let me know in the comment section below. Today we're speaking about Seb Bornauw, we're speaking about Nick Pope, we're speaking about an electric midfielder today linked via the YEP to Leeds United. We're talking Callum Wilson, we're talking about Mateo Joseph, we're talking about deals elsewhere which may free Leeds United up for certain personnel, and we're speaking about outgoings as well. Let me know, guys, what's going on in your world? What's the weather like? It feels like there's a weather report on this channel every single flipping day. Here, it is overcast, but it is still a little bit muggy, which it's not great, is it? It's not ideal. This country does not know how to deal with hot weather. Now, I was in Porto last week. Don't know if I've told you for the 850th time, but there's a nice steady breeze. They're set up. They're set up for warm weather. Over here, yesterday, it's frightfully warm, and this country is just not set up for heat. It is still no breeze. Nobody's enjoying it. So listen, global warming, we know it's happening, but can you bring with us just a little bit of a breeze? That'd be ideal. Hello, regulars. What is going on in the comment section? Let's have a little bit of a scour through, shall we? Marcus in the building. Hello, Marcus. What's going on? Carl's here as well. What's up, Connor and chat? Hello, Paddy. How's it going in there, buddy? Good to see one of the Irish in there. Morning, Connor lad from sunny Blackpool. Are you the first, mate? Are you the first or the second one? I'm not sure. There's been a lot of Paulians, is that what you call yourselves? I don't know, in here recently anyway. Morning, Connor. Morning, Gary. What's going on? Hello. Morning, Gav. What's going on? Good morning, Connor. Hope you're wearing blue, white, or yellow today. Leeds don't do red. Yeah, I seem to annoy a few people by wearing a Benfica top yesterday. I apologise for that. Morning, mate. How's it going, James? Yeah, aerial dominance. And it is the 1st of July, isn't it? The 1st of July, which obviously means we've come to the end of the accounting year, and Leeds United are kind of in the period right now where you're supposedly able to see bids coming in and your transfers consolidated and confirmed and all that sort of good stuff. So we'll have to wait and see. Mebs says, hi, Mebs. Morning, Con. Just wanted to say a massive thank you for you and your hard work and all your quality content. You've created a real family feel in your channel. Keep up the amazing work. Mebs, thank you so much, mate. Really appreciate that. What a lovely comment. Thank you so much, pal. FPL Major says, big love for Melbourne. Recently found the channel. Loving the daily content, even if I don't know them as you join live. Thank you so much, buddy. Really appreciate that one. So, hello, One Leeds, is what's going on. And let's get into the first topic of conversation, shall we? So, Seb Bornauw, it's not the jazzy signing, it's not the glossy signing, is it, that people wanted? I understand that. But isn't it funny? Yesterday on the old RM, we were speaking about Igor Julio. We're not going to get into that too much, but Igor Julio at Brighton, the centre-back who can play at the left-hand side of the centre-back pairing, has played on the right-hand side before in his career as well. But Seb Bornauw comes in for Leeds United. Looks like it's signed, sealed and delivered behind closed doors, really just a medical pending. Very confident from the Leeds United end, from what I understand, that this one's going to get done. So really happy with that one. Can play in a back three, can play in a back four. Let's immediately talk about the pros and cons, okay? Yesterday, obviously, it's a new signing for Leeds United. We want to speak about the pros when it comes to Seb Bornauw. We want to speak about why we should be excited for this signing, why it's going to be good when it comes to a rotation fit for Leeds United. Now, I think his strengths are his positional sense. That's kind of when I look at Bornauw, and that overcompensates for his potential lack of speed, lack of agility, which could be seen as a little bit of an issue in the Premier League, obviously with the quick strikers that are up there and the quick wingers that could expose someone like Seb Bornauw. But the beautiful thing about him is, for me, it's his positioning and his aerial dominance. And for me, I do see him as just that fourth rotation defender. Currently, I see him as Verba leaving the club. I see Bornauw coming in, and I see it as an upgrade. I think it's quite good as well that Farke wanted him. We know Chris Wilder wanted him as well in January, which is quite interesting. But Farke wanted him. I do like that. You do want Farke to have a say on these transfers as well. And, he'll have a little bit of a scouting knowledge himself, won't he, from being around the game for the best part of 15 years. So I do like that. And it looks like the club are pretty certain on him as well as a rotation option there as well. Look, if he's coming in to start, I'd be slightly worried because of that pace aspect. We've not exactly got the maddest of speeds and agility when it comes to our centre-backs anyway. Jacobiol, there's a lot of people on the network who were saying that might be his weakest part. Strauk isn't exactly the quickest. Rodon isn't exactly the quickest. But how you get out of that when you are a centre-back is just getting your positions absolutely spot on, reading the game exceptionally well. And he's very high when it comes to blocks and interceptions, as are the other three as well. So I think it's just about that spatial awareness and reading the game. And he'll know he's not the quickest of defenders as well, but he has played at the top level for a sustained period of time, and he's only 26 years of age. So that says to me that when it comes to that spatial awareness, he's very good. So I don't mind that whatsoever. And look, there are multiple quick defenders in the Premier League who aren't the quickest. There's multiple up there. I always remember like a bit of a Brighton partnership back in the day when it was Dan Burn and Webster and Dunk, no recovery pace between them, but they worked as a three really, really nicely, because their positional awareness was so strong. So, yeah, I don't mind that whatsoever. I don't mind that when it comes to a fourth edition as well, and Leeds are moving pretty nicely there. But what are you guys thinking in the comment section below there as well? Very, very smart. We're building a utilised squad. It's best to have a solid defence. You can't win 90% of the time if you let 3 in per game. 100%, mate. 100%. Rodon is quite nippy, to be fair, Con. I think he does. He just runs with that straight back, doesn't he? So it kind of puts me off. But, he kind of runs like that, doesn't he? Runs backwards. But I think Rodon out of all of them is probably the quickest. But, yeah, look, I don't mind it whatsoever. I just think nowadays it's not all about the striker getting in and behind the defenders. I just don't think that's how football is nowadays. I think football, I think you look at Liverpool, for instance, and teams in and around the Premier League, when you maybe look at Brighton and Brentford at points, they play such a high line. They're so disciplined, and that positional awareness is so key for all of them. I think if you get that spot on, if you use your tactical intelligence, your football IQ in game, and you're able to really have a good communication with your other centre back and your other back line, I think pace for a striker is definitely something. I'm not going to say it's not everything. I don't think it's everything, but I do think centre-backs and a back line can really marshal a quick striker. I really do. So if, they're in tune with each other, if they've got that cohesion and partnership along that back line, I think they'll be absolutely fine. As someone like Seb Bornauw will be fine as well. The key thing is going to be the fitness. Can he really feature for Leeds United? Obviously, featured 15 times last season, 15 or 18 times. I think it was in all competitions. Can he feature when called upon for Leeds United? That'll be the big question, obviously. Steve's in the building now. Steve, how's it going, mate? Building a champion team, not a team of champions. Nice quote there from Steve. Like it. So for a quick look, very smart. Yeah, we're building the utilised squad. We are a team of, yes. It's a lack of speed. It's becoming a common theme in our recent centre-back partnerships. It's a concern for me. I think, Tim, yeah, I mean, I heard that a lot last season. When it came to speed, and I thought Leeds dealt with it absolutely perfectly, to be quite honest with you. As I said, I think it's much more nowadays about keeping a strong line and your positional awareness. I don't want to keep going on about this, but I think that is so important in football, because I don't really look at the Premier League and think there's a host of extremely quick centre backs. I don't really. You can't really think of many. You could let's say Forest for an example. I'd say probably Murillo is probably the more mobile of the two, but I wouldn't say Murillo's a quick centre-back. I don't think Milenkovic has got incredible recovery speed, but their positional awareness is extremely good. And first and foremost, they're very good defenders. That's what we got to look at, really. But I don't think when you look at centre-back combinations in the Premier League, there's out-and-out speed when it comes to them. I just don't think that's the thing. Okay, let's get on to the next bit, shall we? Okay, let's just get rid of that, shall we? Yeah, you can move off. Thank you very much. Come on to him in a bit. Okay, Nick Pope, Baron Cross has absolutely thwarted my dreams when it comes to the former Burnley man and the current Newcastle man. Baron Cross seems to think that sources who want to remain anonymous within Nick Pope's camp or close to Nick Pope in general have basically suggested that whatever happens with James Trafford, Nick Pope will be staying. Now, I just don't believe it. Look, they can say whatever they want. I just don't believe it. A goalkeeper of Nick Pope's caliber. So the whole rhetoric is with what Baron was saying. The whole build around the article and how he's been quoted is he wants to stay at Newcastle. He wants to fight with James Trafford for the #1 spot, which is fine. Look, Newcastle are where they are, aren't they? They're in a much more elevated position than Leeds United. Pope might think that he can get that starting spot. I just don't understand when you're like an hour and a half down the road, you've got a massive club in Leeds United, huge club in Newcastle, of course, like, you know, a massive club, massive fans and all that sort of stuff, a massive fan base, I should say. And Leeds United are offering you the starting spot at this club, you know, I just don't understand why Nick Pope would then look at that as a career move and think, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to fight out for James Trafford, who James Trafford is evidently going to be their #1 goalkeeper. Evidently, if they spend 35 million quid on a goalkeeper, he's going to be the #1 goalkeeper. So I don't understand why Nick Pope wouldn't look at Leeds United as an attractive fit. Now, this is all very dependent, and it's probably a lot to do with negotiation as well. Maybe Newcastle want a little bit higher price for Nick Pope. We were speaking yesterday about alternative keepers in France who will be unbelievable when it comes to an option. We're speaking about Ilan Mele going to Fenerbahce, and that's still being a thing, according to a Cream Kona, obviously the Turkish journalist. So we'll have to wait and see with that one and how that develops. But I just can't see Nick Pope, and maybe he is, maybe he's comfortable there, but he wouldn't have to move. You wouldn't think anyway. And if he would have to move, it's not going to be a huge move for him. He'd just be coming in an hour and a bit down the road. He'd be starting for Leeds United. He's spoken about Leeds United in nice terms before when he was playing for Burnley. I don't get it. I just don't understand that. So we'll have to wait and see. I think the dominoes will fall a little bit. Newcastle, I don't really know what's going on with Martin Dubravka as well, but Newcastle may go out and get another addition when it comes to a goalkeeper. They would have to do that, obviously, if Pope left. It's a strong combination when you've got Pope and when you've got Trafford, of course. Maybe Newcastle are thinking to themselves, look, Trafford would be better with a Nick Pope there, of course. There's a lot of similarities there with them both as well, coming from Burnley, been in the England setup on the periphery to an extent. So I just don't know. I don't really understand it. And I still think in my humble opinion, Nick Pope will get done to Leeds United. I think that will happen. But I'd be surprised if from his camp, he doesn't want to move and wants to challenge with James Trafford. James Trafford's going to be the goalkeeper. James Trafford will be the Newcastle goalkeeper. That's why they brought him in. So unless it's like a transitional season where it's like half and half, but you don't want that as a goalkeeper, as a team anyway. You want a solidified goalkeeper. Trafford's had an unbelievable season for Burnley, you know, up for Championship Player of the Year as well. So I just don't get that for me. But as I say, we will have to wait and see how that one develops. But I thought as soon as Trafford moved, Leeds would then move, which we still could, of course. But then you're hearing murmurs that, you know, Pope would welcome the move to Leeds United. But suddenly, obviously, Baron said over the last 24 hours, really, that people close to Nick Pope are stating that it's not something that he wants. He just doesn't link up for me. I could be wrong. And that's absolutely fine. And I get that. I completely understand that. But that's fine. If he doesn't want to move, I think there are options out there for Leeds United. I think there's a lot of options in central midfield. I think there's a lot of options in goal. Leeds United can move for a good price. I think Nick Pope would be a really, really decent option. But if that doesn't happen, and obviously he'd be my ideal, but Habib Diarra was one of my ideals for midfield as well. You can move on. There's alternatives there. But at the same time, I did come on here and say that my ideal and non-negotiables were Nick Pope and Rodrigo Muniz. So, yeah. But if it doesn't happen, what are you going to do? But we spoke about an alternative yesterday. That if you want to listen to that alternative yesterday, that is on yesterday's Room Mill. You can watch that after this. But that alternative would be outrageous. But I think there's going to be a lot of clubs in for his signature. James says, still early in the window. Take everything with a pinch of salt at this stage. That's kind of where I'm at, mate. I just don't believe he would be happy just sitting on the bench when everybody knows it's going to be James Trafford starting. Like everybody knows. Better choice than Verba. Do you still think we'll go for Egot? I don't, Charlie. I think that's moved on now. I think we've got our 4 centre backs. Rothwell to Rangers, Connor. Brilliant signing for Rangers. I think he'll adapt pretty quickly to that league. Leeds Tribe says Roden is pretty quick for a centre back. Rarely been seen beaten for pace. Solid 4 options. Yeah, I think that's a really good point, Tribe. I think that's the big thing for me. And this is why I think a lot of Leeds fans, understandably, are maybe not as convinced on Ampadu in the Premier League. Maybe it's because we've just not seen enough of it. You know, we see him sort of fleetingly over the past 2 years, really, when you look at all of the games. You see him fleetingly playing central midfield, but then a lot of the time you've seen him play centre back. We don't want to see that anymore. I do not want to see Ethan Ampadu at centre back anymore. That can happen in the Championship. You can get away with it. Premier League, you cannot get away with that. He is the more mobile defender when it comes to him in comparison to Strauch and Rodon, but that's because he's a defensive midfielder. You know, that is his position. But I think that's maybe where Leeds fans are a little bit, well, maybe it wouldn't work in the Premier League because we've not seen enough of it really on a consistent basis for 2 years, really. Ethan Ampadu has been a Swiss Army knife in terms of his positions. So I think Ampadu is extremely adaptable. And I think that he is good enough to work in it. But I think out of the promoted teams going up, we have the best midfield adaptable to the Premier League. And this is what I'm talking about. I think the balance of Ampadu and Tanaka in there consistently is a mid. I think it is a Premier League midfield, and I think that's why we're quite lucky and where the recruitment's been really good over the past however many years. Morning, Connor. From a baking South London, measured incoming so far, points to tactical flexibility for me, which is very positive. Best wishes, Mark. Thanks for that, Mark. Really appreciate that, buddy. Thank you. Yeah, and I agree. Manjeet says, hi, Connor. Kyle Walker-Peters is available on a free transfer. I think it would be an excellent addition to our team. Much was made about Ramazani being the 49ers signing and not a Farke one. Do you think the signings have been from the boss or the board? I think there's a combination, mate, and there's a hybrid as well. I think we're all very aware that, you know, there's a report that came out from The Athletic that there is a hybrid approach with Leeds United. It's a sporting director approach, a data-led approach, but obviously the manager has to have a say in it. That's what we mentioned a couple of months ago as well, that there has to be an understanding from both that it works. But what I will say is if this ever happens in the Premier League, Farke is to be moved on, is to be relieved of his duties. If that happens, Leeds have to bring players in who are going to be adaptable for other managers as well. Leeds have to bring in players who are going to acclimatise to varying systems. It can't just be a one specific player for Daniel Farke. It cannot be like that. Recruitment has got to be for, you know, a variance of systems. They've got to be adaptable to different ways of playing, philosophies, ethos, mentality is huge as well. So, yeah, all these things have to be taken into consideration. Morning, Connor. I watched a 2-minute video. Stop it. We'll get onto him in a bit. Okay, let's have a look. Let's have a look. LUFC Championship says, feels like there's going to be a formation change with these links. Barely any attacking mids link, but with a good box to box. Yeah, I think that's true. I don't know if Leeds are going to. I know there's been reports saying that Parker wants a 10. I don't know if we're going to go for a 10. It feels like nowadays, I always mention this, that it's more of an 8. You need to be able in a that's why I was a little bit more when we were speaking about Oscar Gluck earlier on from Salzburg. I was mentioning that obviously he was from the Austrian Bundesliga, but I don't think there's any room at this moment in time for a luxury number 10, and that's what Gluck is. He's a 10, a luxury player. I don't think you can have that. I think you have to bring in a Habib Diarra, a Noah Sadiki. I think you have to bring in these sorts of players who are able to bomb on, able to carry the ball really well, able to be, you know, box to box in a sense. But you cannot bring in my opinion, really in that spot, just in front of the double pivot, just an out and out number 10. I don't think you can do that anymore. With the greatest of respect, I think, you know, with what Pablo was, Samu Saiz was, who maybe would be that number 10. I know Pablo played out on the right, but I think Pablo was that number 10. I don't think you can do that anymore. I don't think you can do that anymore in the Premier League. I think it's too physically demanding. Okay. I'm going to let this marinate. Just have a look at some things that are going on in the world. What's Donald Trump saying today? Oh, stuff going on over there. Okay, I'm just going to let that marinate. Let everybody get back in. Just let everybody get used to what I'm saying. Okay. Yep. Okay. Just let me know what you think. Okay, have you had your thought process there, everybody? You had your thought process? Let's have a look at what the comments are saying. Okay, so Anton Stach. I did a video on my second channel and I was talking about maybe certain players of which I thought some of the teams in the Premier League may go for, certain players, I should say, in that midfield bracket. We just spoke about some of the promoted clubs. I think we mentioned Sunderland going for someone like Anton Stach on the second channel a while ago. I just thought it would be something that maybe their recruitment team would identify. Now, a well-known forum that we're all very, very aware of seems to be dropping these bits of these exclusives, and then the next day or the day or two afterwards, the journalist seem to be then picking up on it as well. So I wanted to talk about it this morning, but I didn't want to give it too much light because it's a forum. There's no, I mean, as a rumor, it could just be anybody making it up. Now, the specific reference with this particular source on this forum is he seems to be getting everything right when it comes to links, like a lot right. Even a Belgian lad who is having a medical on Monday morning, which is very specific, I believe was the quote. Could be wrong, could be paraphrasing there. So I saw this last night. Someone linked me it, and I thought, right, okay, I might touch on it for 2 or 3 seconds. Then this morning, as of the 1st of July, Graham Smith is reporting for the YEP that Leeds have an interest in Anton Stach. Now, yeah, this is Leeds United are looking to add more physicality to Daniel Farke's midfield. Leeds United have identified ball-winning specialist as a prime candidate for Daniel Farke's midfield. Anton Stach stands at 6'4", shown his ability to cover, win ground duels, read the game, dominate aerially. Yeah, guys, this would be probably the signing, and I mentioned this several times when it comes to Gabriel, because I'm so up on Gabriel, but Anton Stach is a top midfielder and has the potential to be world class. No, I'll let that marinate. Me and Gabe were speaking last night about, and we'll get into Douglas Luiz because there's a bit on him as well. But I was speaking about potential alternatives. Gabe's a huge fan of Douglas Luiz, but I was mentioning alternatives, and he was one of the alternatives before we spoke about anything else. Really, an absolute monster, press resistant, exceptional on the ball, very good with his weak foot, two-footed. I think could play more advanced, but is probably better in a base of a midfield. Anton Stach would be an outrageous signing. You've seen the clubs that are interested in. It's not only those two. It's been Inter Milan. It has been Real Madrid were apparently flirting with him or interest with him about 2 or 3 years ago as well. There was rumors surrounding them and him. Valencia have been interested. Bayern Munich, Leverkusen. There is so many rumors around Anton Stach and going somewhere else. But apparently he is I mean, look, the report from Graham isn't anything, adventurous in terms of like, this sort of moving on to a certain level. But this was dropped on said forum. And, in terms of like the other night, and there was a discussion of him being Leeds' next target, and Leeds trying to get that one done. And then obviously Graham's reporting on it this morning. Yeah, this would be ridiculous. This would be ridiculous. I don't know, guys, how the level of which I'm thinking, like, I don't know what I'd do. I think there'd be so much breakdown that we'd be able to do on Anton Stach. The channel will become, one Anton Stach. It wouldn't be one Leeds anymore. But yeah, this just on a basic level, he brings so much to the midfield. We'd be able to go to a compact 3 if we needed. A double pivot would be interesting, but I think maybe if Leeds would work really nicely with stacking there as a midfield 3. That's what I mentioned when it comes to a number 8 as well. He can play in the 8, he can play in the 6, he can play. I think he's just once again a Swiss Army knife. He's very, very physical, very, very combative, and it fits in with Seb Bornauw as well. It fits in with Gabriel. It fits in with potentially Gabriel Gudmundsson, who is another one said on said forum that Leeds United are looking at bringing in next. So yes, Gabriel Gudmundsson, Anton Stach will be terrific signings. So, yeah, very, very good. Very, very happy with that if that does get done. And we'll wait and see on that one. regarding the development. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. But Stach has the trajectory to be world class, in my opinion, has that level. I think he can get there. And as I said, you've got so many of the big clubs looking at him. So many of the big clubs will probably get him by the end of this window, let's be honest. But yeah, that level he can get to, I think, surrounded by a lot of very decent players, especially in that midfield. Yeah, and as I say, he's been at Hoffenheim for a while now, so we'll wait and see how that one develops. But yeah, this is one. If you'd have said at the start of the window, this one was achievable. I just thought, very quickly there was clubs in for him. Very, very quickly there was, well, rumored with him anyway. And you'd look at a lot of these big clubs who've been rumored in for him, and you think, well, we've not really got a chance here. But when you're seeing it this morning, you're seeing Leeds United next to his name, you're thinking, come on, can we maybe? Come on, let's see. No, I'm late. Nice to see you, Connor. Hope you're well, mate. Shout out to you, buddy. Good to see you in here. Building a taller squad, says Born Slippery, will be hard to beat. It's the way we're going to stay in the league. I would love to be able to go toe-to-toe with you, Liverpool, etc., but we're not staying there. Yeah, 100%. Let's have a look. Pope ain't leaving Newcastle. Good to see Tommy in here. We've got the negative Forest fans, but it's bizarre here. We've got a really good Forest fan, NFFC, who's been around for a while, but it's not this guy and it's not Tommy K. But we have Forest fans in every single stream. Strange, isn't it? You don't see many Leeds fans in Forest streams, do you? So it's a bit odd, that one. But yeah. Been a pleasure over the last few years, mate. Of course, Ken. We're not going anywhere, mate. We're not going anywhere. Do Leeds fans think their needs deflating a little bit? Things like being stunned that someone will go to Sunderland over Leeds, as well as being stunned that Pope would not go to Leeds. I don't think so, Jimmy. I don't think it's not. I keep mentioning this. When it comes to Diarra as well. He's not chosen Sunderland over Leeds, mate. We just stopped with the first bid. We stopped with a 23 million quid bid, and Strasbourg wanted more than that. That's really it. We can say, look, and I've got, that's absolutely fine when it comes to Sunderland. You know, absolutely fine. We've made several very kind videos on Sunderland, but it isn't a case of choosing Sunderland over Leeds. But if we want to run with that, that's fine. That's fine. But that's not the case. Leeds stopped at 22 million quid, I think it was. You guys offered 30 million quid, and there's a clear pathway for him there with Joe Bellingham leaving. There isn't a clear pathway for him at Leeds United. No problem, NFFC. No worries, mate. No worries. Very concerned so far. 2 players in for me, and there's no improvement from our confident Champions League team. Stach, don't know anything about him, but I trust Connor's assessment. This is where you want Farke to use his German influence, 100%. Like sign Nampert in the Champs, that would be a serious statement. He really would be, mate. He really would be. Be a very decent 100%. So, Connor, watching you do these room mills makes me so giddy for the season. Doing a smashing job. Big thanks. No worry, mate. No worries. Okay, let's move on, shall we? So Gabriel Gudmundsson, we've spoken about this before, guys. There's been no real advancements on him overnight and stuff like that, but yeah, it feels like when it comes to Gudmundsson that this one's just rumbling on in the background. We heard his comments about Leeds last week when it came to Leeds being a very big club and a very nice club, and he's a fan of the Premier League, and he wants to play in the Premier League, and his dad's been in the Premier League, and it's gone kind of quiet. But no news, it can be good news as well. So maybe Leeds are just moving on with that one in the background. Okay, so Callum Wilson has been let go from Newcastle. Now, what's going to happen here when it comes to the development of him? Would you take him as a second player? Would you take him as a third player? I think with the wage demands that Wilson would be looking at, it just maybe wouldn't be for me. I think we've got to look at that injury record as well in comparison to the wage structure as well. I'm not 100% sure he would be a needle mover for Leeds United, just literally in terms of his availability, his injury record throughout the seasons as well. It's now been 4 or 5 years where his career has just been completely interrupted. So I just don't see that as a viable option for Leeds United, for me anyway. But what do you guys think in the comment section below? Would you go for Callum Wilson? Would you take that as a sign in? Let us know. But yeah, apparently it's between us, West Ham, and Everton, according to a few sources this morning. I would like some Prem experience in here too, not just European circuit mix. Would be now. Who'd be your option? Who'd be your option? Tom, if it wasn't for us Forest fans, your channel. That's it, mate. We've got 3 of you in here. That's it. It's the growth. Wilson top striker, but we're too risky for us. I agree, mate. I think with Nemetra's injury record, we don't need another one in. Yeah, 100%. Let's have a look. Callum Wilson. Let's see where he's at. No, it doesn't look. It doesn't. No, it looks like he's. Yeah, it doesn't look like Callum Wilson has signed. Sorry, I just got a comment in there saying it looks like he's signed for Newcastle. No, the latest I've got is Newcastle have released 3 senior players following their expiration of their contracts. Jamal Lewis, John Ruddy. Contracts also expired, but the club previously announced discussion had taken place with the duo and could still be agreed. So that's of 3 hours ago, mate. So there's nothing. Leeds United have been heavily linked with the move for Wilson and could swoop. But yeah, there is no confirmation yet when it comes to Newcastle signing Callum Wilson. Callum Wilson, John Ruddy are set to be out of contract at the end of June. However, the club has opened discussion with both players about their futures, and new contracts could still be agreed. So there's your research, mate. There's your research. That's as of 3 hours ago by the Shields Gazette. Okay, let's move on. Douglas Luiz now. Tutto Mercato, our favourite Italian site, are seeking a solution apparently after the World Club Championship of getting rid of Douglas Luiz. Apparently, it's something that Juventus want. Obviously, when it comes to that wage structure, of which I think Douglas Luiz is taking a heavy portion of. Now, Tutto Mercato, quite interestingly here, they are suggesting that there are several clubs looking for the signature of Douglas Luiz. And there is a claim on this particular site that there is a possibility when it comes to Douglas Luiz and Leeds United named in said article that will be a loan to obligation to buy. If Leeds were to go in for him. Now, I guess that financially it wouldn't be bad. It wouldn't be bad when it comes to Luiz. I like him. Look, box to box, but can be a deep line playmaker as well. 27 years of age. There's been a few injury record. You know, it's a pretty big injury record when you look at Douglas Luiz this season. The only thing is, it says fatigue has been a key part of his injury record this season. And when it says fatigue on an injury list, you do think to yourself, well, does that mean that he just doesn't want to play? And he's not been happy at all in Juventus. There's been Instagram posts, there's been Twitter things deleted. So yeah, this article via Tutto Mercato has suggested that apparently Juve is seeking a solution after the World Club Championship, and there is a possibility that they are happy with a loan to then an obligation, and Leeds are named in the same article. If Leeds are to buy him outright, looks like it's going to be, they're seeking 40 million euros. I think they brought him in for a similar fee. So obviously they'll want to accrue that money back. But yeah, Douglas Luiz, I don't know what it is that's just not clicking when it comes to him. Maybe I'm looking at Anton Stach and I'm thinking to myself, yeah, that's the one for me. I think there's more to his game. I think he's outstanding in more areas than what Douglas Luiz is. I think Douglas Luiz is consistent across the board. I like him. I don't know if we're to bring Luiz in and he's to play in a double pivot. I think you'd have to partner him with Ampadu. So then I don't know what would happen with Tanaka. I think the mobility and combativeness of Ampadu would have to be partnered with Douglas Luiz. I don't think you get away with it with Tanaka in the Premier League. So I guess that will be a conversation. His agent is doing overtime right now to get him out of Juventus. I think that's abundantly clear as well. I don't know. What do you guys think? This is where the discourse and debate gets a little bit higher. Douglas Luiz would be class. Longstaff, Elliott, Ortega, Luiz with experience for me. We ain't signing Luiz. We're deluded. Okay. Morning, Connor. Wilson, not for me. There seems to be like a few angry people in the chat this morning. Have people just not had the coffee this morning? Is it the hot weather? I don't know what it is. Morning, Connor. Wilson, not for me. Great content. Keep up the hard work. Yeah, shout out to you, buddy. Shout out to you. Wilson to Sunderland. That would be quite funny. Let's have a look. Douglas Luiz with an option to buy would be better. Okay, so are you guys, apologies for that if you're talking about Callum Wilson. Apparently, has he signed an extra deal? Signed deal with Newcastle. Let's have a quick look. This is 3 hours ago. There's conversations about a new deal. There is nothing on a new deal. So if someone can link me that's absolutely fine. But yeah, the research was definitely done this morning, everybody, and I've not seen anything. So sometimes you do miss these things when you put in 400 links up. I apologize if Wilson has signed a new deal. As I say, I was looking at this 3 hours ago and he hadn't signed a new deal. So this has made everybody grumpy. Been sat on the bench for 12 months. Look at what happened to KP. Been sat on the bench. I mean, I sent over Gay. Let me just read these out. And these are a few of his injury issues over the last many months. Let's have a quick look. I was speaking to Gabe about it last night. So this is what he's missed out on. So he's had in 2024-25, muscle fatigue, 49 days. Muscular problems, 10 days. Muscular fatigue, 10 days. Hamstring muscle injuries, 45 days. So he's missed a hell of a lot of the season. But the context is with this, of course, again, is that he's not wanted to be at Juventus, apparently. Thanks, TB. Really appreciate that. May, how's it going? Hope you're all good, buddy. Nakata says he's good if we can afford him without breaking our bank. Definitely. Okay, Mateo Joseph, the latest news on him. Betis and Birmingham were obviously very interested in acquiring his signature, but it has gone extremely quiet with the Spanish striker. Now, obviously, we were looking at we're having a conversation about him going for 8.5 million quid plus add-ons, and then there was a conversation about him going for 6.75 million quid plus add-ons, and apparently Betis was struggling to meet Leeds United's valuation. Leeds wanted a little bit more. Betis wanted to pay a little bit less, but it has stalled. There's not been that much from Birmingham City either after their initial conversations. Apparently they inquired about Mateo Joseph, but a loan would have been preference for them. Leeds United apparently were happy to do the dealings with Betis, according to several reports out there as well. Dario stating something really similar, but Betis are not able currently, according to a few sources, to meet that valuation. So the conversations have stalled when it comes to Joseph. So interesting when it comes to that one. Would he stay at Leeds? Would he stay at Leeds? All right. Okay. There we go. There we go, guys. Have that. Have that. Okay. So he's on me. So there's okay. So he's not signed a 1-year deal. I thought so. There we go. So there you go. Update. Callum Wilson hasn't signed a new deal. Flipping it. That's been the portion of the video this morning, hasn't it? We ain't signed Harvey Elliott, not a sniffs. Martin's very positive this morning. Good. Martin needs a coffee. Douglas Luiz would be a quality addition. I just don't think we'd stoop up the wages. He'd be on monster wages. I agree, mate. Loan to Brum be perfect. Betis are cheapskates, 100%. Oh, thank you. Hey, I am Lord. I really appreciate that, buddy. Thanks so much. Personally, I'd rather give Peru a chance to make the step up. Yeah, and I think what you're going to get from Peru as well, I keep mentioning this, but I think off the bench, you could get potentially 6 goals this season, 7 goals off that bench. Potentially just occupying the edge of the area late in games. We know he's a good ball striker. We know he's a quality technician, Joel Peru, and maybe this is what he's looking at. You know, we mentioned yesterday when he was speaking to a Dutch publication, they said speaking to a good Dutch publication, that he wanted to be a Premier League footballer. He wants to play at this level. So, yeah, I don't mind it. I don't mind it. Peru off the bench. I guess the conversation is going to be, where in line is he? Where in line is he when it comes to the pecking order? Definitely the striker, says Mick. Heard Bamford's out again with a broken guitar string. Andy says Joseph's Euro performance didn't go to plan. Thought he would smash it and get the Elliott and Amari Hutchinson bumps that they've got 100%, mate. Always adds a little bit of a dial to their price value, doesn't it, mate? Okay, Tolu Arokadair. Shout out to James, who copied this into the chat this morning. Fulham, apparently looking at him now, this would be a very, very nice signing for Leeds United. Very nice signing for Leeds United. We spoke about him very, very early on. We're not going to go into the depth about Arokadair. But the interesting part of this is Fulham, again, looking at a very high-profile centre-forward. Now, we spoke about Romelu. We've spoken about Pepe. We've spoken now about Arokadair. Now, I don't understand this. Now, Jimenez is there, of course, and we've got Rodrigo Muniz, and I'm going to keep hammering this Rodrigo Muniz drum until he signs, hopefully. But I don't understand. This is obviously, look, take it with a pinch of salt once again, but it feels like Fulham are inquiring about centre forwards like there's no tomorrow. This would be a terrific signing for Leeds United, 100% in terms of this guy. But I think we've got our heart set on a Rodrigo Muniz. And I guess if Arokadair was to come in, the beauty about what Fulham are going to do there is they've got a player from Genk there who's adaptable to the Premier League, who's got many attributes that suit the Premier League as well, and sort of mirror, once again, similar attributes to Rodrigo Muniz. But if Fulham can tout in 35 million quid from Leeds United and get someone on a cut price like Tolu Orokade, which may be 20 million quid if you to read reports. Fulham have got some real and done some really good business there. So this would make a lot of sense for them, especially to get another striker, Pepe, on top of that, potentially somebody who can play within that forward line, can play in a 2 as well. It'll be interesting to see this one, but it feels like there's no smoke without fire, especially when it comes to these Fulham rumours. And I think that's really key to add on in these conversations, because they need to really get in someone who can be there with Jimenez. They need to also look at that replacement, for Rodrigo Muniz if they're to let him go, and they'll want to get that consolidation in before we, advance with him. And it's this domino effect again, the domino effect of James Trafford and Nick Pope, the domino effect of Fulham with a striker, and us and Rodrigo Muniz. We've had a bid not back. We allegedly had 2 bids not back. And it feels like he's not going anywhere. It feels like Muniz is our top target. That's how it feels. Like Biol was our top target. Maybe Anton Stach is one of our top targets in midfield as well. That would make a lot of sense. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. But interesting again. Interesting again. Are you sure Rodrigo Muniz wouldn't go to another Premier League club? Do you know what it is, MJ? I think the big thing with him is, and with them, is it's going to be who can meet that valuation. Are you going to get a mid-table Premier League club? Let's say, who are we going to be talking about here? Brighton, Palace. Are they going to match Leeds' bid for him? I don't know if they will. I don't know if they're going to put in 32 million quid for him. Plus, they might do. But you've got to look at who they've got initially as well in their squad setup. Leeds have got a gaping hole for someone like Rodrigo Muniz, which is going to be attractive for him. He'll have a relegation clause in there. Leeds will have to accept that if we are to get him. But I'm a fan of him. I think we're all well with that. I think we're all aware of that, I should say. Donny says, not sure how true it is, but we've just had an 11 million bid turned down for Sadiki. Yes, I have seen this, mate. That is one that we're going to come on to in just a second when it comes to Sadiki as well. Now, from what we know, when it comes to Noah, there is us and Brentford. According to reports this morning, Brentford have offered 2 million more euros than Leeds United for the signing of Sadiki. But apparently, according to Sud Info today, a publication on the World Wide Web, they are suggesting that with Sadiki's contract, which goes until 2027, by the way, Burnley had an offer accepted of 1 million quid for him last season. This is how crazy a season can get in terms of, and look, a price packet of a Premier League club, of course. But apparently, Brentford have offered more money than Leeds United for Sadiki. Obviously, his contract goes until 2027, but apparently now his parent club are looking for around about 20 million euros for Noah Sadiki. So that price value has drastically increased from what we thought it would be initially. We thought we were going to get a good price for him. We thought it was going to be decent. I mean, it's not our money, guys. So let's be brutally honest with each other. It's not something of which we're going to cry over when it comes to monetary and all that sort of stuff. But I'm just going to get it on screen now when it comes to Leeds' interest and Brentford's interest as well, and just get a bit of the data package up so you guys can just have a quick look. I know you guys like the visual. We're all visual learners here, aren't we? So we'll just get that up on screen now for you guys. Yep. Okay, so we've got Noah Sadiki there, as you can say. Gilles, who we've spoken about before, he's a year younger than Habib Diarra. Sadiki as well, similar profile. I mentioned yesterday, the only thing that puts me off a little bit is potentially his passing, his distribution at points. But everything else looks pretty decent. Looks like will be a decent signing for Leeds United as well. But there was quotes right at the beginning of this being, under 10 million quid. Then it advanced to 11, 12 quid. Brentford apparently offered more than Leeds United, and we thought it was all done. But now Gilles have come back and said that they want 20 million euros, which it looks like what they're trying to do is sort of get a little bit of a bidding war here for Sadiki. So we'll have to wait and see on that one, how that one's going to develop. Vanilla Coffee says, great to catch you live. Just returned from a run, literally melting. Yeah, mate, brilliant stuff. Yeah, I need to get myself exercising as well. I'll be brutally honest with you. Guys, we have nearly 1,300 of you in the building. Shout out to all of you. Make sure you're slapping a like on the video. Really appreciate that. How many likes have we got in the building? Some of the mods will be able to tell me. It's saying 25 likes on mine, so I don't think that's true. It is 505 likes. Can we get 1,200, guys? If we can get 1,500 likes, that'd be unbelievable as well if you're watching on the replay. 20 million is ridiculous. 15 tops, 11 and I'll buy him. I'm not sure about him, to be honest. I guess he's a different sort of player in a sense to Anton Stach, but he's a lot more mobile than Anton Stach. He covers ground potentially a bit better than Anton Stach, but Stach's better aerially. Stach's better in duels as well. Yeah, I'll be going to Anton Stach. Of course you would. Of course you would. If you can get both of them, unbelievable. I just don't know how that would work in terms of a preference, in terms of what you go into the Premier League with. And we're going to turn into a compact midfield three potentially at points as well. We mentioned that the idyllic way of moving for me when it comes to Leeds United in the Premier League is having a variance of formations of which you can transition into pretty seamlessly dependent on the opposition. So I don't know. Do you reckon we'll get Longstaff? Yes, I do. Martin, I've just answered your question, mate. Okay. Brandon says, come on. Will we even have... Oh, that was yesterday. I've got your comment on for yesterday. Shout out to you, mate. Shout out to you. Michael says, if João Pedro goes to Chelsea and Mbeumo leaves for Brentford, I can see Brighton and or Brentford going for Muniz, who would see those clubs as a more brighter prospect than Leeds and they have the fact. Yeah, Michael, I think that's spot on. I think the reality of it is when you look at Sunderland, when you look at Leeds United, it doesn't matter how big of a club you are. You go up against Bournemouth, Brentford, and Brighton, who are always mentioned together for whatever reason, or a Palace or a Fulham. You're not getting him. Unless there is higher wages offered, unless there is a clear pathway for the player, which is what I'm hoping would see Rodrigo Muniz come to Leeds United. You can see the pathway as Habib Diarra saw the pathway for being Joe Bellingham's replacement at Sunderland. If they see that pathway, they've got a nice little relegation release clause in there as well. That would be advantageous, obviously. But the big club thing, I've spoken about it with multiple content creators. I've spoken about it with family members and friends, obviously. Doesn't mean that much anymore in the Premier League. If you've been in the Premier League for 10 years and a really big club comes up, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. They're going to go with the club who's been in the Premier League for 10 years, 100%. So that's kind of where it's at nowadays. Chris is in the middle. All right, Connor, Sunderland fan here. We're in for another 2 free transfers, DCL and Decore, which will be 2. So I think Sunderland fans are at that point where we were at. Maybe where they're getting very giddy about being back in the Premier League, so every signing's a good signing. And I know on my channel, obviously, we speak about, I try to give balance. Sadiki, there are a few cons there with Bornauw, there are a few cons there, but I think in the Premier League, you have to be absolutely ruthless, and I think last time we were all very excited. Maybe some of us a little bit naive, me included in that, when it came to the Premier League and what our squad could do. Obviously, we finished 9th, which was unbelievable. But maybe like the second season when there was certain fans saying that we were going to finish 5th after signing Furbo, James and Klaassen, I believe it was. We're going to finish 5th. And obviously there's that momentum wave. But I think you've got to be careful looking at every single signing and thinking, because you've not had that quality of signing before, or you've not had that quality of signing in a number of years, they're going to be good signings. Like, I look at Dominic Calvert-Lewin and I think absolutely not. I look at, with his injury record, the salary demands as well is going to be high. I also look at Chet Decore and I think the wage demands are going to be extremely high, which doesn't really fit in with Sunderland. I don't think it even fits in with Leeds. And there was talk about him going to Saudi for 180 grand a week. I think it's just a bit of agent talk with Decore. But for me, if you get those 2 signings, I think it's poor recruitment, if I'm being honest with you. And I think from a Leeds standpoint, if we did those 2 signings, I'd be saying the exact same thing. I think that's poor recruitment. I think the proven Premier League players, you have to be really careful who you go for when it comes to wage demands, when it comes to transfer fee, but also when it comes to adaptability. And are those players on the decline? That's why I keep mentioning, if we are to get someone in rotation, a bit of a box-to-box number 8, good value, I would be looking at someone like Sean Longstaff. That's a Premier League proven player, somebody who's 27, someone who's been rotated in the midfield, Bruno Guimaraes, Joe Linton, and Sandro Tonali. I don't mind that whatsoever. I really don't mind that. It gives us that physical output as well, the athleticism, and he's a good ball carrier, good in the duels. So someone like him, and he's not on the decline. I think you've got to be really careful recruitment-wise that you are not spending a mass amount of money, which is obviously going to go against your PSR standing as well, but a massive amount of money on players who are on the decline and are going to, because it's their last contract probably of their career, or the last big contract of their career, are going to demand an absolute shed ton when it comes to wages, when it comes to bonuses. Yeah, you got to be so careful, in my opinion. I think that's why with Leeds, I want us to be looking at, this is why when you come look at someone like Anton Stach, when you look at someone like Noah Sadiki, when you look at someone like Habib Diarra, when you're looking at these sort of players, these are players who I think can drastically improve And although Anton Stach is 26 years of age, I think surrounded by better players, I think he's just going to thrive. You know, him in a midfield with Tanaka, potentially, my God, that would be brilliant. And there are better players who he would thrive with as well. But you've got to sign players who are also going to give you a worst case scenario, are going to give you, look at the balance. They give you fantastic output, but then worst case scenario, they've got good sell-on value, or even best case value, they've got good sell-on value. Because the likelihood is, if someone like Stach was to come to Leeds and be unbelievable, and Leeds stayed in the Premier League, you'd get a bigger club coming in for him, 100%. 27 prime year of age when he's obviously been at Leeds for a year. So you've got to look at sell-on value as well. But there's absolutely no sell-on value for me in something like DCL or Decore as well. I think it's poor. I think it's really, really poor. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Jamie says, give it a like, folks, costs nothing, and his like saying thanks for the content. Really appreciate that. Guys, we've also got Jamie's part of it as well. We've got a WhatsApp group. If you want to be part of the WhatsApp group, you have to join the Patreon. We're going to be uploading bits back to the Patreon very, very soon. We've had a little bit of a break off there, but via the Patreon, we've got a WhatsApp group, which is popping every day, as I'm sure Jamie and everybody else will tell you. It's a good little community in there. It's a bit of fun. I'm voice noting in there all the time as well. So if you fancy it, you're getting my thoughts on a daily basis as well, outside of the content that I put on YouTube. It's a good laugh in there as well. So make sure you join that if you fancy it as well. Like the video as well. Everybody really, really impressed with all of you in the building and supporting the content. Thank you. Harvey Elliott would be lovely, wouldn't he? Good morning, Jan. How's it going? Good morning. I know a lot of people are joining just at the back end here. New Leeds tweet would suggest that we ain't going for Manor. Leeds tweet. What's that, mate? I'll just have a quick look. Leeds United on Twitter. Let's have a quick look. Okay, here we go. Yeah, Leeds United have just tweeted out, interestingly. Thank you to Manor and Joe, returning to their parent clubs as champions. LUFC thanks Manor and Joe Rothwell, wishing them the best for the future. And I think that's where we've got to look at it. I think they've been great servants. I think both of them, it's been crystallized point with Leeds United. It's been brilliant. Both of them, I think, have been really good additions, really good on the recruitment strand. Joe Rothwell was not deemed good enough by multiple people. I was always a bit of a staunch backer of Rothwell, and he came in, and I thought he was a massive asset. Big games, Rothwell contributed in. The Sunderland one at home was huge as well. But, would I have liked to have seen him get a few more goals? Definitely, of course. We just seem to just be overshadowed in that midfield when it comes to goals. But as well, Manor, you've got to say he was a successful signing. Of course, he sent Leeds United. Leeds United won the championship thanks to Manor Solomon. And he was very, very important at the end. So that's one of those where I'm not really getting sentiment involved with it. Of suggesting multiple alternatives if you want that player when it comes to Manor Solomon. You got Christoph Solis at Club Brugge, in my opinion, who is Manor Solomon, but I think has greater output. That's how I see him. I think he's got greater output than someone like Solomon. I believe he's younger as well, Solis. You've also got Ahmad Loriente, who we mentioned as as my 6 picks about 2 or 3 months ago now, who is a very similar profile, but quicker. I think he's a little bit more balanced than someone like Solomon. I think he goes on the outside a little bit more, and he's just naturally a little bit more agile. Sassuolo at Serie B level, he was outrageous, absolutely outrageous. And I mentioned that we should only look at the top leagues, but the only reason I give a little bit of a caveat with Loriente, who's now linked with Sunderland, is because he's a Serie A player all day, every day, and twice on a Sunday. So yeah, but there are alternatives out there for Manor Solomon. And if you're to offer me, I'll be honest with you, I think if you look at Solomon, if I'm to offer you Igor Pejao, who are you taking? And if that's where we're looking in terms of left wingers, I think Leeds they're going to go big on a left winger. But if they do go big on a left winger, I think whoever that left winger is, with kind of the players that we've been linked to anyway, is going to be of a very good standard. The risk with Solomon was always it was just one season, and it was brilliant and crystallized and fantastic. I was always a little bit worried with him that Daniel Levy was going to bargain around about 15, 20 million quid, and it's just been one season. And it's not really a proven Premier League player whatsoever with 4 goals in there. Do you know what I mean? It's a real lack of minutes there. So there was no sort of guarantee, and I think Leeds need guarantees. or as close to guarantees as we can get. So Nonto on that left-hand side. Yeah, Nonto would definitely be an option for me on that left-hand side. But once again, the caveat, mate, with Nonto is if they're to go and get an Igor Pejao, if that is the level, and if we're talking like that, like right now on the left-hand side, I think we're fine. I think we're fine on that left-hand side. And that's why Leeds' squad is very decent, in my opinion, or probably the better of the promoted three. I think we've got more adaptable players in the Premier League than Sunderland and Burnley. But if you're to offer me a level up, which is what Igor Pejao is, hence the interest in him, a level up to Nonto and Ramazani, I'm going to take Igor Pejao, of course. But on that left-hand side right now, I think we're fine. I think we're all right. I'd be looking on that right-hand side to help James. I will be putting Nonto on that left wing like he was in the Premier League when he was, 18, where I thought he was more effective on that left-hand side. And I would be using James on that right-hand side with supplementary, addition on there. But I think Leeds can do very, very good stuff on that left wing. I think Pejao would be... Get him. That's just outrageous. That would be outrageous. So, as it would be with Anton Stach, there'd be very, very, very good signings. So, yeah, Pejao, Leverkusen, Liverpool, and Arsenal all been touted for his name. That's what I mean, mate. It's a ridiculous level up, really, to what we're getting. Morning, Connor. Hey, Rob. I'm getting giddy, saving money for other positions, then spending big on Igor Muniz. That's what I mean. I mean, you get someone like Dream Window. You get Anton Stach. You get Igor Pejao and Rodrigo Muniz and Nick Pope. You're giving yourself the best chance. I mean, it's probably quite unrealistic, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see on that one. No guarantees. Mr. P, hi, Mr. P. Coming late to party, but in my opinion, Newcastle will need a decent squad with Champions League football this season, so keeping Pope is not too far-fetched. I agree. It's not too far-fetched, mate. I think it's just more from a personal standpoint. I think James Trafford is going to be their number one goalkeeper. So, yes, Nick Pope will be challenging or will be number two, but it's just the minutes side of things. And it's not the fact that I'm not saying, Leeds are bigger than Sunderland and Leeds are bigger than Newcastle and Leeds are this, that, and the other, and he should be coming to Leeds. All I'm saying is from a footballing standpoint at 33 years of age, I think he could be coming to Leeds United now. Newcastle would get a fee for him, which they wouldn't get next season, unless he just becomes that second goalkeeper, unless they just keep him there as that second goalkeeper just to help Trafford throughout. I don't know. That may happen. I'm not sure. As I say, it's all in the ether. Donny says, by the way, mate, I was Porto. I lived there. I think, Donny, did you message me? I can't remember. Someone messaged me. Mate, I was trying to switch off as much as I could. So apologies, pal. I was out there with the missus. I was saying, I'm going to be coming out and seeing loads of people and doing all this sort of stuff. But when you're there for your missus 30th, it's tough. Leeds, you said it, James. You said it, buddy. Right, you legends. I'm going to go and we're going to record another video for the second channel. We are on the way to 6,000 subscribers, guys. James, I'm sure you've seen the video as well last time out. We've done a video on Sunderland's recruitment. If anybody's interested, we're going to be speaking about other general bits as well. We've got a video coming out, I think, on Sheffield Wednesday today, which is just mental. And I know some of you guys like the general football bits as well. I'm a big football viewer, so if you're interested in that sort of bit, sort of general bits, then make sure you check that one out as well. A few bits with Callum Fowler and Matt SB coming up on the channel as well, and Ben. So make sure you check that out, everybody. Leave a like on the video if you would. That would be absolutely fantastic. It's been an absolute pleasure being here, everybody. And as always, if something breaks, I will be here, but you need to get your notification bell switched on, of course, because if you haven't, then you won't be notified. Also, check out Match Bingo. It is the Women's Euros coming up, I believe, and the World Club Championship as well on my notepad, everybody. I've been told to tell you that for a £5 deposit, you get a tenner absolutely free. Don't say I don't do anything for you. Click the link in the description below, everybody. It's been an absolute pleasure. My name's Connor Miglian.